Hello, my name's Chris Huth. If you're watching this, I imagine it's because you have some interest in the television series Lost, whether that be because you've seen the entire series or because you're in the process of watching it all for the first time, or maybe you started it at some point but then dropped off of it for one reason or another. Regardless of which one you are, I want to welcome you to this channel. This video is the first one I'm doing on the topic of Lost, and therefore it's really just an introduction to my idea for this channel, as well as an introduction to me and my relationship with Lost. I'll put time codes in the description in case you want to skip over any of it. But first things first, I'd like to issue a spoiler warning for Season 1 of Lost, specifically up to and including Episode 112, which is whatever the case may be. I don't imagine you'd be watching this if you hadn't at least seen the first season, but just in case, I wanted to issue that and say that if you haven't seen it, please watch that before you watch the rest of this. It's definitely worth watching, and it's definitely worth watching unspoiled. Now that that's out of the way, I'd like to tell you guys about my history with Lost. It obviously started back in 2004. I was in 8th grade at the time. My first introduction to it, though, was in January, the first week of January 2005. My brother and I, we were staying with our aunt and uncle, and they had been watching the show since it had first started. And that week, the episode, whatever the case may be, was on.
Stop lying to me! Tell me the truth!
Belong to the man I killed!
And they, of course, weren't going to miss it, and we ended up watching it with them. We obviously didn't know what was going on in the show, so my uncle, every time there was a commercial break, he would try as much as possible and as quickly as possible to fill us in on what had been happening in the show up to that point. There's polar bears on the island. There's a crazy French woman who's been there for 16 years. That Korean lady speaks English, but no one knew about it, not even her husband. There was a pregnant chick, but she got abducted by this guy that they thought was on the plane, but then they found out he wasn't on the plane and that he must have been there before the crash, and he might not even be the only one because the Iraqi dude, he heard voices out in the jungle. Oh, and there's some sort of monster out there that's like knocking down the trees, and it killed the pilot, but then it saw the bald dude, and it left the bald dude alone, and the bald dude lied about seeing it because he definitely saw it, but he said he didn't. And then that bald dude was actually in a wheelchair before he got to the island, and now all of a sudden he can walk. And that bald dude and the young guy, they found this mysterious metal thing out on the ground. As a kid just shy of 14, that bullet point summary was more than enough to draw me in. Unfortunately, our parents were really strict about television, and our schedules were busy, like after school a lot of the time. So there were plenty of times where I couldn't catch the episode. And back then, before we owned a DVR, if you missed an episode, you were kind of out of luck. Still, I'd watch it whenever I could. Then came Christmas of 2005. My mom got me the complete first season on DVD. And my brother and I, we watched the entire thing in 1 week of Christmas break. It was awesome. From then on, anytime I missed an episode, I would find time to go to the library at school and track down the transcript from that previous episode and basically just read what happened. Obviously, it wasn't anywhere near as good as watching the show, but desperate times, desperate measures. Then, towards the end of season 2, ABC started putting episodes online, which was a new and exciting thing at the time. And I was just really happy about it because I would never have to settle for a transcript again. Anyways, I graduated high school exactly 1 week after season 5 ended. And then the final season aired in, I guess what you would say is technically the first year of my adult life. So when I say I grew up with Lost, it's really true. From age 13 to 19, I was following the show. My entire adolescence, more or less. During those years, I'd get on blogs and read all the fascinating theories that everybody had. And obviously, there are still a lot of interesting theories about Lost out there. And I mean, that's kind of the whole idea of this channel. But back then, when there was still so much we didn't know that we would eventually know, It was just exponentially more, and yeah, some of them were really crazy, but I mean, all of them were interesting at the least. The show taught me how to think critically. It encouraged me to empathize with other people, try and see things from their perspectives. And it really nurtured my fascination with storytelling into the passion that it is today. In short, it played a monumental role in shaping the person I am today. Now, I'm not going to get into my opinion of the show versus other people's opinions of the show. Maybe I will in a separate video. But in the years since the show ended, I've rewatched it several times, almost always with somebody that hasn't seen it before. And that's always a really fun and interesting experience for me. In fact, I'm currently in the process of watching it with a friend of mine and my younger sister, who's a senior in high school. So basically the same age I was when I fell in love with the show, who miraculously knew nothing about it. We started on September 22nd, which was the 15th anniversary of the pilot. And we've been getting together every week and watching 3 to 4 episodes at a time. We just finished season 4 and are on track to finish the entire series on May 23rd, which will be the 10th anniversary of the series finale. Because of this current rewatch, I recently discovered the Reddit thread dedicated to Lost, and I was really pleased to see how much love there still is out there for this show. I was also really interested in all of the questions that are still being asked and the theories that are still being discussed. And that's when the idea for this channel really occurred to me. After posting several in-depth comments on various threads, I kind of thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if instead of having to read these really long essays, people could just watch a YouTube video? I'm sure that would be less tedious, hopefully. The truth is, I've toyed with doing YouTube videos in the past. I used to do movie reviews for the school paper when I was in high school, and I really enjoyed that. And I've had friends encourage me to post reviews on YouTube. But honestly, with as many great people as there already are doing movie reviews on YouTube, I've never really felt like I'd bring anything new or worthwhile to the table. So while I have posted a few joke reviews on here, I've never seriously pursued it. But this is something I know I can do and do well. And to my knowledge, there aren't other people out there doing it. I spent the last 15 years studying and thinking about this show. I mean, off and on, not 15 years straight. But yeah, I've heard and come up with several theories, some outlandish, some with real evidence behind them. I'd love nothing more than to present these things to anyone that might be interested in them, and kind of help fuel the discussion on these interesting themes and ideas. Furthermore, as a show that asks a lot of its viewers, anyone that prefers to watch the show more casually can very easily come away with questions that they felt weren't answered for them. And the reality is that the show, the way that it is telling the story, it wants you to put effort into taking these pieces that it gives you and putting them together to come up with, to discover the answer for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with people not wanting to do that. A lot of people don't watch TV to engage with it in that way. Nothing wrong with that. But that said, I'd also love the chance to dive into some of these answers that the more casual viewer might have missed. Basically, if anyone's familiar with the Super Carlin brothers, I'll put the link to their channel below. Specifically their videos related to Harry Potter theories and explanations. That's the sort of thing I'd like to do with this channel, but with Lost. I have no idea how much of an interest for this sort of thing there is out there, but even if there's just one person that would enjoy watching them, I will undoubtedly keep making them. Any support at all, be it a like, comment, subscription, even just a view, any of that would be really appreciated. Now, I have set up a Patreon account just in case anyone wishes to support the channel in that way. Now, while that would help me make these videos more often. I assure you, I plan to make them whenever I can, regardless of whether or not anyone donates. Well, I think that's all for this intro video. I do have a list of about 16 different topics that I think would be interesting to do videos on. But really, I'd like to hear from you guys. If there's any questions you have that you don't feel like were answered for you, or if there's anything you'd like to hear a theory on, or any aspect of the show you'd like more information on, yeah, I'd really be excited to hear what you guys would like to see. I really hope to hear from you guys. But yeah, I'm excited about this, and thank you for watching.